Okay, so this is just going to be a quick noise reduction test with the DJI Mic Mini and the recently released little tiny USB-C receiver. So I'm not using the main receiver that comes with the Mic Mini set. This is the new little tiny thing. In fact, I'll do a quick cutaway now to show the back of the phone, which is what I've done on another video. And as you can see here, I'm also using the TWOPAN T03 external SSD. So basically the receiver is just plugged into the pass-through on the TWOPAN T03, and so everything's being recorded externally, and obviously the receiver is just being passed through the TWOPAN T03 SSD. Okay, so what I'm doing here is going to specifically test for noise or noise cancelling, because what's really interesting here is that this new receiver, I say new, I think it's been out maybe for a month or two now, but it's it's relatively new. This particular receiver has actually got hardware options on it for the noise reduction. And if I remember correctly, when you use the standard receiver, you have to control the noise reduction from the DJI app. Now, when you do that, there's always low noise reduction switched on. So that's always noise reduction there. So it would appear that this is the only way that you can actually totally bypass noise reductions to use this receiver, because it has a physical switch on it. Okay, so just another couple of quick things before I start switching on the noise reduction. What I've done here is to set up the levels so that I'm using the lowest possible level in the DJI app. And then once I am into the Blackmagic Camera App, which is what I'm recording here, because I'm doing, let's say I'm doing open gate, 60 FPS, and I'm using ProRes RAW HQ. So basically I'm also stressing the TWOPAN T03. But inside the Blackmagic Camera App, I've dropped the record level down slightly. So I've gone to the lowest input level within the DJI app, and then I've dropped down the level slightly again inside of the Blackmagic Camera App as far as its audio gain is concerned. So what this will result in is a signal that cannot possibly clip the recording itself. And although this is the first test that I've done with it, I did actually have a quick listen to something just before that I'd recorded, and it doesn't sound like there's clipping anywhere else anyway, so I'm super safe. And then in post I've just re-leveled up and put a limiter on to gain up the recording. Also, what I've done within the DJI app itself, I've switched off its limiter because I like to apply that myself in post, and I've also switched off the low shelving as well, so there's no filtering or nothing. So this is the microphone as raw as possible, as it were, so nothing being added or taken away with the DJI app, and I'm just applying a limiter at the end of the day, with the software that I use for editing. Anyway, so right now I've had no noise reduction on, so let me just go quiet a second and we'll get an idea of what the background sounds like, because there will be slight noises going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm just going to go quiet and then I'm going to switch the switch to low noise reduction. Okay, I nearly started talking then, but that would have defeated the object to have tried and heard what the difference was between no noise reduction and low noise reduction. In fact, whilst I think there's a helicopter or something up there now, let me do this again. So I'm in low, I'll stay quiet and I'll just flip between off and low. Okay, so hopefully we will have heard differences there. So I'm now in low as I'm talking, and hopefully the low noise reduction doesn't disturb anything to do with the tonality of the audio itself, because if my assumption is correct, that when you use the standard receiver, it is always on at least low anyways. And in that, like in those recordings, you don't really hear anything weird going on. And to be honest, there still is noise in the background. So it sounds like when it's on low with the, like the DJI app, when it's controlling the standard receiver, it's just not that aggressive. So hopefully right now, we're just not getting any kind of aggressive weirdness as far as the noise reduction is concerned. So what I'm going to do now is go quiet again whilst I'm in low. And then what I'm going to do is then flip up to high as I'm quiet, and then let's just see what happens then, and then I will start talking with high noise reduction on. Okay, so I went from low to high with the noise reduction, and right now I'm in high noise reduction. So hopefully, once again, it's not disturbing the tonality of the audio itself. Now, I've never even tested the high noise reduction within the app using, like, you know, the standard receiver for the Mic Minis. So it's going to be interesting to hear how this sounds as well, because it'll be the first time that I've heard this as well. Now, what I'm going to do in a second is I will basically go through some silence and go from like off, low and high. But what I'm going to do, rather than keep like flipping the switches, I'm just gonna do the edits in post, and I'll just put off, low and high. So let me just get into this, and I'll probably do maybe like 5 seconds of each or something, so we can hear what the comparative differences are with the background sound that's going on now. Okay, so I'm back to noise reduction being off. So hopefully, you know, what I've just done there, flipping through the switches and stuff, hopefully it's given me a really good idea as to what the level of these noise reductions are like. And if I have put this up somewhere, maybe on my vloggy channel, just as a test thing, if anyone comes by it, let me know in the video description, you know, what you think of this. Was there much of a difference within, you know, the noise reduction levels? And indeed, when I went to high, was there, like, you know, any weird artifacts going on with the dialogue and stuff like that? And the one other thing I would say as well is, whilst I was flipping through and stuff like that, that's not really what you would do. You would have these things set before you start recording. So of course, doing this particular test definitely gives me an idea of where and when I would want to, or maybe not, use these noise reductions on like low and high in particular surroundings, because of course I would have that set before I start recording, and I most certainly wouldn't be reaching over and, like, you know, toggling switches live during a recording. But nonetheless, anyway, hopefully this video has been useful if anybody's come across it. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.